Good morning, Kids Questers, and good morning, the rest of our HCC. It is great to be with you again this morning. Just like Paul from the Bible said in Colossians 3:16, we pray that the message about Christ in all its richness will fill our lives so that we can teach and counsel one another with all the wisdom that Jesus gives. That's why we meet together, right? So that our lives can be full of the richness of God and all that He has planned for us, and so that we can teach and counsel one another about the good news of the life that Jesus gives us. So thank you for joining us again this week, and we just pray that God will just fill you with the richness of His wisdom that He plans to fill you with this morning. Now that we've talked about wisdom and knowledge, and you guys have been back to school for like 2 months now, you guys must be getting pretty wise and pretty knowledgeable. So let's see if you can riddle this. What do you get when you drop a pumpkin? Squash! Okay, how about this one? If a couple of you got that. What is the best thing to put in pumpkin pie? No, not cinnamon. Your teeth. That's right. Sink your teeth into some good pumpkin pie. Yes, it is the time of year that we see pumpkins everywhere. We see them in the stores. We see them at school. We see them in the farms. We see them, most of all, in front of everybody's house. Did you put a pumpkin outside of your house this year? You probably did. The other day, I walked past the most incredible pumpkin. Guess what it was? It was one of those Among Us characters. It was unreal. But more unreal than the detail it had was the light that was shining out of it. Dark night and a beautiful light shining out of this pumpkin, and it reminded me of a story I've heard. Have you heard it before? It is the story of the pumpkin farmer. And guess what? I have the pumpkin farmer right here. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I will tell you the story about the pumpkin farmer. It started with this guy, and he had been a farmer for many, 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 many years. And he had been a farmer of wheat and corn and maize and barley. He was like, that was all good stuff, but I'm getting kind of bored. It's all one color. It all looks the same. I need something that has some life to it. I need something that has some color to it. I know. What did he grow? He wanted to grow a pumpkin. And he wanted to make this the most beautiful pumpkin so everyone from all around could come and see this beautiful pumpkin and be like, wow, that is a good pumpkin farmer. And so he went to the store and he picked out, among all the seeds, he picked out the most perfect seed. And he thought, you know what? That is going to make a great pumpkin. And he took it home, and he was very careful. He looked at what was the best soil for the pumpkin to grow in, and he planted in that soil. And then he thought, you know what? This pumpkin seed needs to be fed every day. So he gave it nice fertilizer, and he gave it tons of water, and he cared and cared and cared for this little pumpkin seed. When it started to grow, he cleared out all the weeds from around this pumpkin seed so it could grow and be this perfect pumpkin. It started really little, like the size of his hand right here, just tiny. And then it got bigger, and then it got bigger, and it got bigger, and one day he came out and he saw, growing in his pumpkin patch, the most beautiful pumpkin. He was like, wow, that is a good pumpkin. Like, I did a really, really, really good job. You might have a lower voice. I have a really, 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 really good job. This is a good pumpkin. He was like, you know what? This pumpkin kind of looks like me. It kind of looks so good. I think I'm kind of handsome. And this pumpkin looks so good. and I just love this pumpkin. Remember that this pumpkin farmer had cared and cared and cared for this pumpkin. He loved it, and he wanted it to be a representation of how good he was as a pumpkin farmer. He thought, it looks so beautiful on the outside. He polished it and waxed it and said, oh my goodness, the outside looks so beautiful. Let's take a look at the inside. And so he cut, let me put that down there. He cut around the outside here, and he thought, I'm sure the inside is going to look gorgeous, right? And he went and he pulled the top off. Oh no. The inside was full of guck. Oh no. Ugh. He could hardly stand to be around it. Actually, just looking at it, he couldn't even do that. He couldn't be anywhere near it. It was all of this awful, 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 awful guck. Oh, how was it supposed to show how amazing a farmer he was if it had all of this gross stuff in it that he couldn't even stand to be around? Oh no. And he thought, you know what I could do? I could clear out all of this guck. So he got to work. And he said, you know what, I'm going to clear out, that much guck. Oh, still some left. I'm going to clear out some of this guck. And then he got to parts that didn't want to go. The pumpkin was clinging on to some of this guck. It was really, really, really stuck on. But you know what? The farmer kept on working at it. And eventually the pumpkin said, you know what, yeah, I could get rid of some of that guck. I'd like to get rid of some of that guck. Even though it was clinging so close to it. Said, you know what, yeah, thank you, farmer. I'm going to give up some of that guck. And he cleaned it all out. And then he said, you know what's so amazing, would be so amazing, is if I could carve this pumpkin so beautifully, and then I could shine a light through it. So that in the darkness, everybody who comes by to see this pumpkin can see the light shining out of it. Just like the amazing pumpkin I saw the other day, the Among Us pumpkin. So he got to work carving, and he carved day after day after he got all that gunk out. And he carved so carefully. Carved so carefully. And guess what? He was a very good carver. This happened right away. He was a very good carver, and he worked at it day after day after day that he had the pumpkin. And then he had a beautiful carving that showed everybody, wow, that's a great pumpkin carver. That's a great pumpkin raiser. It's a great pumpkin carver. And you know what? It even kind of looks a little bit like me. And so then what he did, he said, you know what, now that this pumpkin has been carved of all of the guck, now that it's been carved to look like a face, kind of like me, now it can shine this light for everyone to see. And out of this cleaned up, here we go, out of this cleaned up, carved, beautiful pumpkin, we could see the light shining. And it means that in the darkness, the light that this farmer had placed in it could shine right out for everybody to see. This story might remind you a little bit about another story. Actually, if you think about it, the farmer in this story, the pumpkin farmer, is a little bit like God, our Creator. He cares for us and tends for us and loves us and planned us before we were born. And he planned us to be this beautiful thing that showed how amazing of a farmer he was, how amazing of a God he was. But when he looked inside of us, it says that, you know what? Everybody has sin inside. They've got guck that needs to be cleaned out of them. And some of the time, we don't want to let that guck go. We say, no, we want to keep on to that sin. We say, no, God, okay, change that part of me and change that part of me, but don't change everything about me. And God says, no, you know what? Because I can't stand to be around that guck. That's not the guck I created you to have. So he makes a way to clear out our sin through his son, Jesus. And then he gets to work on us. And it's called sanctification. But what it really means is he gets to work carving us into what he created us to be. And then it means that we can share his light with the world, even on dark days. That's pretty amazing that we have a great God who will do that for us, who loves us, who cleans out all of our sin, and he shapes us into who he created us to be. So I hope this year, when you walk by all those pumpkins, and maybe when you're chucking your pumpkin after this week, I pray that you would remember that we have a great God who cared for you like the best farmer cares for his best pumpkin, who loves you and who wants to continue to make you more into what he created you to be. So have a great week and have a great rest of the service. Let's sing songs to our great, great, great God.